Captain America, man out of time, a soldier with a shield, and, for a while, a character who some thought was just too boring.
To know how Loki used it to turn two of the sharpest men I know into his personal flying monkeys.
Monkeys. I do not understand.
I do. I understood that reference.
But in 2014, the Russo brothers took the Star-Spangled Man and redefined him in Captain America the Winter Soldier, making Steve Rogers one of the coolest and most compelling heroes in the MCU. Welcome back to Watch Marvel. Today, we're talking about how Captain America the Winter Soldier fixed Steve Rogers as a character. We'll dive into how the movie reshaped him, obviously, but also how it compares to his portrayal in the Avengers. Before we talk about how the Winter Soldier redefined Steve, let's go back to where it all started, Captain America the First Avenger. This movie introduced us to the heart and soul of Steve Rogers, from his days as a scrawny kid in Brooklyn to his transformation into the super soldier we all know. This was where we saw his unwavering moral compass take center stage.
Grenade!
Get away! Get back!
The film gave us moments like these, that cemented Steve's character. It wasn't about strength or skill, it was about courage and heart. That's what made him worthy of the serum and, more importantly, the shield. But despite these great moments, the First Avenger kept things pretty traditional. It was a World War II-era adventure that leaned heavily into nostalgia, which worked for his origin but didn't make him feel modern or cool. His combat was straightforward, and his personality, while admirable, lacked complexity. He was the good guy, plain and simple. Now, jump to the Avengers. Steve is thawed out and thrown into the chaos of modern day. But here's the thing, he was the straight-laced leader in a team filled with larger-than-life personalities, and while he was the guy giving orders, he was also the guy wearing a suit that, let's be honest, felt more Halloween than superhero.
And you're all about style, aren't you?
Of the people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
Steve.
Sure, he had a few great moments, like leading the charge in the Battle of New York, but his dialogue and overall vibe leaned heavily into his old-school roots. Lines like, "There's only one God, ma'am," felt a bit out of place alongside Tony's sarcasm.
Stark, we need a plan of attack!
I have a plan. Attack.
I'd sit this one out, Cap.
I don't see how I can.
These guys come from legend. They're basically gods.
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
And then there was his fighting style, which, let's be honest, up until this point, Cap's combat felt more functional than flashy. He threw punches, blocked with the shield, and occasionally tossed it like a frisbee. It got the job done, but it didn't steal the spotlight. Compared to Tony's suit or Thor's hammer, he came across as competent but not extraordinary.
Ninth. Why the hell should I take orders from you?
So, by the end of the Avengers, Steve Rogers was still respected, but was far from being a fan favorite. Fans loved his heart and leadership, but his character depth wasn't on the same level as his teammates. Fast forward to the Winter Soldier, and wow, Steve felt like a completely different character. The Russo brothers redefined him by leaning into the complexities of his story and turning him into a modern-day action hero. But what really made this movie special wasn't just the action, it was Steve's internal struggle as he tried to navigate a world that moved on without him.
Marvin Gaye, 1972 Trouble Man soundtrack. Everything you missed, jammed into one album.
I'll put it on the list.
Steve's values are rooted in a black-and-white moral code from the 1940s. In this new world of surveillance and political manipulation, the lines are far blurrier. That all comes to a head when he discovers S.H.I.E.L.D.'s plan for Project Insight, a system designed to eliminate threats before they happen.
3 next-generation helicarriers synced to a network of targeting satellites.
Launch from the Lemurian star.
Once we get them in the air, they never need to come down.
To Steve, this goes against everything he fought for in World War II. This isn't freedom, he says, this is fear. The idealism that made him who he was in the past now sets him apart, as he questions whether the organization he works for is doing more harm than good.
You know, I read those SSR files. Greatest Generation? You guys did some nasty stuff.
Yeah. We compromised, sometimes in ways that made us not sleep so well. But we did it so that people could be free. This isn't freedom. This is fear.
And then there's the action. From the very first scene on the Lemurian star, it's clear this isn't the same Captain America we saw in the Avengers. He isn't just running into battle with brute force. He's executing precise, tactical maneuvers. The Russo brothers elevated the action sequences to make him feel like a super soldier who's as much a spy as he is a hero. Take the elevator fight for example. It's not just a cool sequence. It shows how Steve thinks under pressure. Surrounded by enemies, he doesn't panic. He assesses the situation, takes them all down, and then calmly walks away.
It kind of feels personal.
Then there's the highway battle with the Winter Soldier. This fight isn't just about skill, it's personal. Steve is up against an enemy who matches him in strength and speed, but it's the emotional weight that hits the hardest when he realizes who he's fighting.
Bucky?
Who the hell is Bucky?
But the movie wasn't just all about Steve fighting battles in the present. It was also about him wrestling with his past and what it means to be Captain America in a world that's moved on. The moment when Steve visits an aged Peggy Carter is heartbreaking. For the first time, he sees the cost of being a man out of time.
You're alive. You came back.
Yeah, Peggy.
It's been so long.
This loneliness fuels his doubts about his role in the modern world. He's torn between staying loyal to S.H.I.E.L.D. and standing by his principles.
What you thinking about getting out?
No. I don't know.
When he discovers S.H.I.E.L.D. has been infiltrated by Hydra, it's like the rug is pulled out from under him, everything he trusted is gone, and he has to rely on his own moral compass to figure out what's right.
New world order will arise. We won, Captain. Your death amounts to the same as your life. A zero sum.
That's why his decision to stand against Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. is so powerful. He's not just fighting for his country anymore. He's fighting for what he believes in, even when it feels like the whole world is against him.
The price of freedom is high. It always has been. And it's a price I'm willing to pay. And if I'm the only one, then so be it. But I'm willing to bet I'm not.
While Steve Rogers was undoubtedly the heart of the Winter Soldier, Natasha Romanoff and Sam Wilson were the driving forces that made his journey not only believable but also relatable. Their dynamic with Steve wasn't just there for backup. They each brought something essential to his growth as a hero and as a person. Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow, is the perfect foil to Steve's straightforward nature. Where he sees things in terms of right and wrong, Natasha operates in shades of gray. Her down-to-earth approach challenges Steve's idealism, forcing him to rethink how he approaches this new, morally murky world. For instance, the scene in the mall where she tells him to kiss her as a distraction? His reaction shows just how far out of his comfort zone Natasha is willing to push him.
Kiss me.
What?
Public displays of affection make people very uncomfortable.
Yes, they do.
Natasha also adds a level of vulnerability to Steve's journey. They've both lost a lot. Steve lost his past, and Nat is still struggling with her identity. Through their friendship, We see glimpses of her softer side and his ability to adapt and trust again, even when the world seems broken.
If it was the other way around, and it was down to me to save your life, and you'd be honest with me, would you trust me to do it?
I would now.
And then there's Sam Wilson. From the moment we meet him, Sam feels like the kind of guy you'd want to grab coffee with. His humor and warmth balance Steve's stoic personality, making their friendship feel natural and real.
Don't say it. Don't you say it. Left. Come on!
Sam's background as a pararescue soldier gives him a unique connection to Steve. He's one of the few people who truly understands what it means to serve and sacrifice. That bond is why he immediately joins Steve in taking down Hydra, no questions asked.
I can't ask you to do this, Sam. You got out for a good reason.
Dude, Captain America needs my help. There's no better reason to get back in.
What makes Nat and Sam so important is how they bring out different sides of Steve. Natasha challenges him to think critically and adapt to a world that's no longer black and white, and Sam reminds him of the values that still matter. Together, they create a dynamic that's both fun and heartfelt.
Don't look at me. I do what he does, just slower.
The Winter Soldier didn't just fix Captain America, it redefined him. The Russo brothers turned a character many saw as outdated into one of the coolest, most layered heroes in the MCU. By leaning into his strengths, giving him incredible action sequences, and surrounding him with a stellar supporting cast, Steve Rogers became the Captain America we love today. So, what did you think of the Winter Soldier? Did it change how you saw Captain America? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.